Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Why the Fellowship Matters, a real story from a TACUSPA fellow and mentor. My name is Dr. Hilda Billups, and I currently serve as the director of the webinars committee for TACUSPA. Allow me to introduce our facilitator for today's webinar. Jaime Salcedo, he, they, él, is a first-generation queer, non-binary Latin student affairs professional committed to advancing equity, accessibility, and student success in higher education. They currently serve as the Lopez Scholars Program Manager at St. Mary's University, where they support first-generation scholars through strengths-based mentoring, inclusive leadership development, and culturally responsive programming. With a background in career readiness, identity exploration, leadership development, culturally sustaining practices, and academic transitions, Jaime brings a student-centered and justice-minded approach to his work. He is committed to cultivating joy in his scholar's identity, academic journey, and career paths, as he believes joy is an act of resistance to oppressive structures, systems, and status quo. Jaime earned their Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education and a Master of Education in Student Affairs and Higher Education from Texas State University, and supports TACUSPA as the Director of Education and Professional Development and 2026 Annual Conference Co-Chair. Jaime, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I greatly appreciate it. I'm over here like, wow, who's this person? But let's get into what we're here for, right? First and foremost, thank you to everybody who has the opportunity to join us live with our session. We'll also have this recorded, so please refer back to this and reach out to me personally. I'll leave some information as well at the end of this session so that we can kind of connect about everything that's being told so you don't miss anything. But let's get into it, right? What is the fellowship? I kind of want to start with a strong foundation, and then we'll transition to introductions and get the questions rolling. So the purpose of the Thomas Moorman Fellowship program is to provide an intensive professional development experience, mentoring, and support to future leaders in the association and the field of student personnel administration. The program is funded by the TACUSPA Foundation. Shout out to the foundation for doing some powerful work fundraising for all these different professional development opportunities. The fellowship is currently open to current graduate students, both master's and doctoral programs, as well as new professionals with 5 years or less of full-time experience. So if that sounds like you, lock in, listen up, and let's get into it. The program does pair selected fellows, so there is an application process with a TACUSPA volunteer lead to complete a project developed by the board of directors. By the end of the fellowship program, fellows will be able to, first and foremost, demonstrate leadership in practice. They'll be applying foundational leadership skills to a project that contribute to the goals and strategic initiatives of TACUSPA and the student affairs profession. They'll also engage in reflective professional development by critically reflecting on their personal and professional growth through mentorship and active participation in the association. They'll build professional relationships, hopefully cultivating meaningful connections with experienced student affairs professionals and peers through structured mentorship and collaborative work. Additionally, they'll manage projects from concept to completion, being able to employ effective time management, collaboration, and critical thinking to meet project milestones and deliverables by a set deadline. Like I mentioned, our current 2026 fellowship application is live. It will be closing this Sunday. And so if, after hearing this, you want to get it together, you can still lock in and submit everything that you need. It's not challenging at all. I'll go through the application process at the end after you hear all the wonderful experiences that we had together this past year. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to our lovely speakers for today. First and foremost, everyone say a big hello to Emily Gray. Emily Gray uses she, her pronouns and is a second-year graduate student in the Student Affairs and Higher Education program at Texas State University. Eat 'em up. She earned her Bachelor of Social Work from the University of North Texas in 2024 with an emphasis on trauma-informed care and substance use disorders. Emily currently serves as a graduate assistant for First Generation Initiatives and is passionate about leadership education, curriculum development, and identity exploration. In 2025, she served as a curriculum architect Thomas Moorman Fellow under the mentorship of Dr. Neil Golimo, where she conducted a cost-benefit analysis of programs within TACUSPA. Emily, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Let me introduce our mentor, Neil Golimo. So Dr. Neil Limo is the director of campus living and learning at Texas A&M University at Galveston, where he has served since 2006. A self-described expert generalist, his work spans housing, campus and academic conduct, accreditation, camps and conferences, and chairing the campus care/bit team. He holds degrees from Baylor University and a PhD in higher education administration from Texas A&M University. Neil's research and consulting focuses on Title IX policy and reporting, particularly as it intersects with minoritized communities, campus threat assessment and intervention, higher education leadership and governments, and systems of student success. He has presented nationally at NASPA, ACPA, TACUSPA, TASA, TASA, yeah, okay, and ATIXA. And Neil currently serves as the Vice President for Education and Research for TACUSPA and is faculty of ACPA's Institute for Curricular Approach. Neil also is a really great guy and served as my mentor partially during my fellowship too. So very meaningful to have shared experience with Emily too. Okay, so we're going to transition into questions. The first section of questions is really going to be geared towards our fellow. But Neil, at any point you want to chime in and brag on Emily because she's wonderful, please, please do. All right. Okay, so Emily, can you tell us a little bit about your role and where you were professionally when you applied for the fellowship?
Yeah. Um, I mean, real quick, when you say like my role, do you mean like the role or the position or like what I currently do for my like assistantship and stuff?
Yeah, for like your assistantship. Mhm.
Okay. No, I was reading back through the questions and I was like, oh, I needed to clarify. But I currently serve as a graduate assistant in my degree program. So at the time when I heard about the fellowship, it was we had just finished our spring semester and I had just begun another internship over at Maryland. I was kind of looking for after completing my first year, I really wanted to set like intentional goals about like growing my professional identity within the profession. And so I was introduced to KUSPA my first semester of my program, and I was like, I saw that they had opportunities like the fellowship, but also presentations. And so I told myself I really wanted to like make it a goal to do something with it. And so that's kind of how, where I was like professionally, just like seeking like a little bit more opportunity, like put myself out there and try something new.
Yeah, I definitely love that. I know, if I remember correctly, first year we did host a KUSPA at Texas State. And so we had the opportunity to connect to some of our current and alumni Texas State program, higher ed program. So it was great to get to meet you and then kind of see you go from that point to really getting engaged. I know you kind of touched on this, but what motivated you to apply for the TACUSPA Fellowship specifically rather than some of the other opportunities we have?
Kind of like what you just said, I had when Texas State was hosted at TACUSPA my first semester, I had a really positive experience just seeing a lot of alum in the program in leadership positions, but also I did the case study presentation competition, and so I was like, what's the next thing new the organization could provide for me that I could get engaged in? And all the signs and roads led to the fellowship. I think what enticed me to do it though was that there were 4 or 5 like different projects. Like it was very like clear and intentional. Like this mentor is their focus. This is kind of like the vision of it. But from the get-go of reading the descriptions, it was very collaborative. I think when I think of mentors in higher ed, I think of just like people who can like who are like a safe space to like ask like questions because like as a student I still think and know like I have a lot to learn, and so it's just like with the projects that were offered, I was like, this feels like a good opportunity to kind of like take what I've learned into the classroom, but also have opportunities to learn and expand and like grow on it too. And so I think it was also something like when I was because I was doing my internship and I was thinking about applying, but I was like, do I have the time for it or like should I really even do it? But like at the end of the day, I felt like I would regret not shooting my shot to apply for it. So I made my little presentation and hoped for the best. And then a little bit later, I got like my little like, hey, you're in. Here's your mentor and all that stuff. So I think it was just a bit of soul searching, but also just the opportunities that came with it of getting a mentor and just like the information that I'd learned from the project.
I think you were very intentional with your application. I know it stood out to the review committee and just being able to really state your intentions, what your goals are. And so I know that's something we're definitely looking forward to reading again here within the next month too. So I know we've kind of talked about, okay, leading up to this fellowship, but can you tell me what your fellowship was, and what you felt like you actually learned through the experience?
Yeah, so my title or role was called the curriculum architect, and so I was tasked to assess the current like offerings that Takuspa gives and kind of do like a cost benefit analysis like with it, and just one like see like do they align with like the goals and stuff, but two just kind of like assess like are we doing like is Takuspa like offering like good stuff. And when I did my analysis and assessment, we came to the conclusion that you get a lot out of like your membership. For graduate students, it's $20, by the way. But it's very when I say like cost benefit analysis, it's more so like for the cost of what you're paying, like what is like the impact like from the offering. So like the webinars, for example, they are like a low we don't have to travel for them, but they're very easily accessible and they happen monthly, so therefore it's like a very like high like a constant impact, kind of like medium impact depending on like the content, and again it's just something you get access to like with part of your membership. We analyzed and assessed like the student affairs on campus journal, hopefully I said that acronym right, and just like those opportunities for our members, and then also like the conference offerings including like the pre-conference and like all the workshop opportunities and everything within that. And so honestly, this project like showed me a lot more about what Takuspa offered. I knew there was a conference, I knew there was the fellowship, but it honestly helped really paint the picture about the intentions and like the purpose of why Takuspa is here. I think I didn't come up with any like mind-blowing like solutions or like new directives of like where to go, but I think the project was just like very affirming to like show like no, like this has like very intentional purpose. And I think when I was talking to Dr. Galimo about the future of a lot of like the offerings, I just think like Takuspa has like a promising future. And I think that's kind of like what my project told me and showed me.
Yeah, I love that. I kind of want to pivot a little bit to Dr. Belimo. I know you submitted for this project. What did you have in mind when you were submitting? And, did Emily meet those expectations? What did that look like?
What did I expect? About a quarter of what I got is what I expected. So actually, I'm going to correct Emily a little bit. When we started, uh, I wanted us to kind of curricularize a little bit of what we do and what we offer. We're an organization that serves learning experts. And so we should have outcomes and measurables for that. And so that's where we started. Emily, you were the one who pulled up like you started to cook and you pulled up doing a basic SWOT analysis and she created a friggin' like heat map so we could see like what programs were low cost and output versus in high impact and then vice versa. And it honestly, as a organization, I feel like it gave us an opportunity to really look at like, okay, where are we putting our energy? Where are we getting our outcomes? Because at the end of the day, we're here to serve our membership. And so, you know, you and I had that first meeting, and I kind of just said, what do you think this needs to look like? And you just took off. And I just tried to keep up, honestly. And it was pretty great. Like I was just trying to keep you with the data and everything you needed. And so, um, yeah, that's where it was. I got way more out of it than I expected.
Emily, I know last year we had four different projects, right? So for context, we had like a pathway to professions, graduate engagement, legislation, and then we had this project. What kind of, you know, gravitated you towards this one over some of the other ones?
Um, So when I was looking at the projects, I always like to challenge myself to do something new. I feel like within my program, I've done a lot of with my internship specifically, I've done a lot of like learning outcomes and like curriculum like development like training and like just getting that experience. So I originally wanted to do like the one with Shelby with like the policy because that's something I've been interested in. I just haven't found mentors or professionals who like would like be open to like talk to me about that. But I think at the end of the day, I liked all of them, but I was just gonna like I wrote my little like essay questions, I made my video, and like I honestly had the process and hope of like whoever this speaks to, I'll match with and vibe with. Because I genuinely can't remember if I ranked curriculum as my number one. I know I knew I wanted it as my number one, but I can't remember if I went with something else. But I'm really glad I did because like I like Dr. Galima was saying, like I feel like learning outcomes, like they're the outcomes that you want, but at the end of the day, it ties back to like this is for our members and we want to make sure that like they're getting the best that like we're offering and everything too. And so I think curriculum, like yeah, we can like look at it and assess it and everything, but I think it's like tying it back to the impact it has and getting that more full circle picture really excited me to like learn more about that process.
I love that. I think for me, it kind of speaks to like if we're, if you're stuck, you're between these projects, really looking at what experience you have and thinking about some of those gaps, right? Where can I fill and utilizing this time together with a mentor that you're not having to learn by yourself, all these new skills or new opportunities, being able to engage with different members of the board. And I think that's one of my biggest tips to anybody who's applying unsure where to rank, really think about where can you grow from the most. Because once you're in full time, I don't know if you get opportunities like this again, right? You don't get to have these type of internships or fellowships without taking time out of your day when you can really build that in and maximize your opportunity to learn through these different projects for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask, right, what support did you receive from your mentor throughout your time together? I know you had a busy summer, and so I just kind of want to think about, how did you feel supported by Dr. Golding?
Support was like very like evident like from our introduction email. He was very enthusiastic. He Dr. Gloom actually knew my supervisor too, and so I think just like it wasn't like name dropping like oh like I have these connections, but it gave like an emphasis like I was in good hands. Dr. Almanzar when I told him like Dr. Galima was my mentor, he was well one I learned they had a bromance, but two they just have like a really good friendship and like I put a lot of trust in the people who supervise me and like give good leadership. And so I think just breaking that ice that way was very like good with like starting off our relationship. I remember our first meeting because I think like I feel like the mentorship has honestly like really shown me like mentors like yes they like know stuff too but like they're being mentors because they like believe in me as like a student and like a growing professional and it's like it took like a second for me to like own like I know what I'm talking about and it's just a matter of like collaborating. But our first meeting, I really appreciated that we just took time to get to know each other. I think we talked about the project like for like we talked about it, but it was like the very end of our conversation. And that's when I was like, should I do this? And like, does this sound good? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, are you sure? Like we've only talked about it for like a couple of minutes. Like, do I need to do anything else? And it's just like, no, like just run with it, like go with it. And like when we meet again, we'll see what you got and like we'll build up from it. And so I think that was like a little bit of a so that was support for me because one, like it showed like even though I didn't see it in the moment, like he saw my end vision and like he trusted me to kind of like go forward and like go experiment. And so I think we only met two times over the summer because of my internship, but we exchanged like cell phone numbers. I've been really shy with like texting, but he's very open communication about I think when we started texting, we sent like GIFs and stuff and like just like little check-ins. And so I think a mentor understands that like I have my own like stuff going on and everything too. And like again, this is like a volunteer project and like as long as I'm trying, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like this isn't a grade. Dr. Gleam was not going to fail me from my program. Like no, this is like the only low stakes is missing out on the opportunity of getting like a really good mentoring relationship. So I think like again, like from the first meeting and like to like the very big phase of like getting connected to the other directors with my project, like he always like checked in what my comfort level was like with reaching out to people and kind of like picked up and supported me with like wherever I needed like help. So and I've always like appreciated Dr. Galimo because every time we meet, he always addresses me as like, "Hey, superstar." And at first, I thought it was just like a one-time thing, but I feel like he's very good with like inside like jokes or like relationships and like rapport with that. So
Yeah, Dr. Golema, one of your strengths is woo, and let me tell you, you definitely woo us all the time we meet. So, if you haven't had the opportunity to connect with him this fall at our conference for sure. It's a life-changing experience, I promise you. I hear you, and I hear you speaking to kind of this idea of, if I'm being honest with you, I know we all set out to have these different projects, the boards, but when we're thinking about creating these projects, I mean, man, our fellows really take it and run with it, right? There's no the beauty of this fellowship is that it is semi-structured. There's not requirements for you to meet a certain amount of times to do certain things, but really so that you get whatever you want out of it. We as board members have thought this is what we want to do. This was initially our intention, but we really take into account what are our fellows' needs, what are their experiences, what do they bring to the table, and how can we find a bridge between the both of these things so that we both get something out of this. It's a transactional piece for opportunities for the association, but also for this person to grow. And so I did want to, just highlight that opportunity of if there's a project and you have some initiative, because a lot of these things are completely new, nothing that we've thought about or have structure for. And so we really are like, if you have some background in it, or if you have an idea you want to just roll with and workshop together, that's what a lot of the time our mentoring could potentially look like is what does this look like for our project? I have a little bit of institutional knowledge about our association. You're bringing these new innovative ideas. How do we get this to work together? So I love and appreciate that. Um, what's one skill or takeaway you're still using currently, like in your position right now, because of this fellowship?
I don't do a lot of so again, like my projects, like I ended up making like an Excel sheet with like the heat map and stuff. But I think the most like beneficial part of my experience was talking with the other directors in the organization because as grad like as students and like practitioners and like scholars in the field, like we rely heavily on one another to like get info, bounce ideas, and just kind of like get new perspectives. And so I think having I had like don't fact check me for the 4 or 5 like people that I talked to they all had like different like perspectives and answers, but it really trained me on like how to ask questions because again like you don't know what you don't know, so some I was really anxious about like not being able to like ask the right question, but it was one a confidence boost of just like I know what I'm talking about, I just need to be confident, but two, it really helped me like tailor my questions to get more specific information for things I needed. And so in the fall semester, I actually had assessment and we had similar projects like this. So it was a lot helpful in doing my academic work, but also with my work in first gen with like benchmarking and reaching out to others. I think it just gave me a confidence boost and helped me be a little bit more concise with like getting what I wanted. So
Okay, come through transferable skills. I love that. Okay, one last question before we move on to Dr. Golimo. If someone is on the fence about applying, what would you tell them?
um better an oops than a what if. That was my favorite quote during like the Tumblr era in 2016. But like that again, like that was my whole experience. Like, would you rather like again, like just do it. Like you lose nothing by trying. And I feel like I always have a mindset like you get out what you put in. And I feel like uh just like it's a great organization but also just really great people. I love Takuspa because like while we have like our national organizations, Takuspa is like very Texas specific, and I think like for how big of a state we are, it's important that like we're connected and supporting each other in our own little initiatives. So one, just do it, you lose nothing by doing it, but two, just think about like the connections and in like a relational way too, of just like you never know who you're going to meet. Student affairs is a really small world, And this is just like a really great network and organization to be a part of.
We're so grateful you're a part of TACUSPA. Yes. All right, we're going to transition to Dr. Golimo. And so we'll have some open opportunities for Q&A at the end of our chat. If you want, you can drop them in the chat, but I'll also have the opportunity to unmic and things like that. Before we get to that point, I want to be able to share kind of the mentor perspective. What are some things that you can expect out of mentors? What is our thought process throughout this fellowship? Just so that you kind of, if you're interested, you can learn a little bit more about that. So Dr. Golimo, what drew you to serve as a mentor for the Thomas Moorman Fellowship?
Uh, I yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, we should talk a little bit about how this project with us kind of came about. Like, do you want to talk about a little bit like how we met?
Sure. So if you don't know, I actually served as a fellow for the 2024 conference, the 2024 year. I had just graduated from my master's program. I was kind of a new professional moving into the space. And I applied for the presidential fellow and was able to receive it. An exciting time. I was hoping and looking forward to working with preparing for conference to get some of the skills that I utilize now as a conference co-chair. And I just had a hard time finding the right person to help me, and so I got kind of given the opportunity to flex out from my different mentors that the board currently had. So I know I worked with a few people before I landed with Dr. Golimo. And when we first connected, I was like, oh my gosh. Also, I knew Raphael, Dr. Almanzad, and he was one of my mentors. And I was like, bromance, yes, yes. I love the small connections. But, it was something that I was like a little nervous about. I didn't know necessarily what to expect from my own fellowship and from this mentorship. And Dr. Golimo really said, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? And we created some very exciting things, initiatives that we piloted at conference. So things like session moderators, we did session surveys, assessments. I really was focused on the assessment piece. What does this look like? I wanted to grow that skill more. And so Dr. Golimo took me under his, shoulders, and he was like, let's do this together. And within a matter of a month or two, we got volunteers signed up, ready to go. We had all these different things that were just really exciting to see some of the work I'm able to do come to life. After that, I was inspired to apply for this director of education role who oversees the fellowship to kind of see, first year I learned what does this process look like, and I've hopefully had the opportunity to improve for this next year of fellows who can really grow with some more structured development pieces. So I've been working with Neil for like 2 years now, and it's just been fantastic every time we get to meet monthly for sure.
Yeah, so honestly, I just kind of lucked into the situation. You know, it was kind of Takuspa at the time, we were still kind of recovering from COVID and all that disruption. And I think, the Mormon Fellows was just kind of going. And at that time, Mormon Fellows were just being kind of assigned to board members. And I think, Jaime, one of the first things we did was we agreed that's got to end. And you have to apply to get one in the first place. You have to want it. It can't be a burden. It's got to be something you want. And I feel like I don't think any one thing that we've done has done more to change and improve the structure and the experience than that. So board members who are mentoring, they had to put in some effort themselves to do it. And I think that sweat equity goes a long way, And so honestly, I love young people, I feel like I get to bathe in the reflected glory of their youth. And honestly, it was just I had such a great experience with you, Jaime, that I don't know, just the opportunity to just kind of, I don't know, I've had so much support and mentorship and investment in me, um, at some point, I'm being a jerk if I don't return a little bit of that. And so, my goal from the beginning was like, I, I don't know if I can help them, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna fake it until I make it, and what I lack, anything else I can make for up for, and enthusiasm and like matching their energy. And sometimes maybe even like fueling it from the, jump starting the relationship by, making the most out of it. And I've gotten more out of it. I genuinely feel like I've gotten more out of it than my mentees have. Like it's been great.
Well, I know, I'm sure I speak for both Emily and I when I say like life-changing again, just to have the opportunity to connect, learn, and grow with you. And so thank you for choosing actively to participate in this, right? I know you oversee this as the vice president of research and education, so it's a little more like you probably should do it, but you don't just, it's not bare minimum. You actually put the effort into it.
Fair.
But I kind of want to ask from the mentor's perspective, how do you envision yourself, or how have you supported your fellows' projects and professional goals?
Yeah. So I mean, I want to invest in the person first. I try to keep an outline of something. You want a deliverable at the end. You want something that will move the ball for Takuspa. At the end of the day, that's what you want. Are getting uh, we're getting funds, significant funds for each one of them through the foundation, and so we have a responsibility to be good stewards of those resources. Um, but So you want that, but really, it needs to be co-shaped. It needs to be co-produced, and I just wanted them to be really proud of what they did in the end, and to meet each of them where they're at. And so, like, it's got to be our vision, not mine, because my vision is not going to be as good as theirs. And so, or we can do better. And yeah, so I feel like that was the biggest thing. And then the other thing is that like uh, a lot of the world is going to say no to you. And higher ed is not the most hospitable place right now, from at least from the outside. And I think we are totally missing out if we don't go out of our way to counteract that by being a little bit extra hospitable and being extra supportive, uh, because that kind of stuff is it catches, it's like a really good flu. Like if you put enough of it out there, like other people will catch on to it. I genuinely believe that. And so like I looked forward to meeting with you and with Emily, and honestly Josh Meredith back in the day, because um, you're excited and it's hard, that's infectious. Sorry, that's the word. PhD here. Awesome.
And I think for me, I kind of want to transition this to like one of the questions about what qualities do you believe, thinking about your own mentorship philosophy, things like that, a fellow should have to be successful in this project that we work on together?
Yeah. If you've applied already, you're brave. Like I think that's huge. You got to have a little bit of belief in yourself. You know, um, I know we always talk a lot about get caught trying. Like um, people who are willing to like. I worry about people who don't ever push their boundaries, right? And you have to be willing to fail a little bit. Um, and so I think bravery there takes courage, and I think that's kind of built in. But I would say curiosity is the other thing. Um, Curiosity will take you places where knowledge couldn't fit. Like it really will. And so I think being able to ask the question, and when you're looking at a situation, you know, instead of thinking, oh man, that's super stupid, or like, I don't understand that. It's obviously dumb. It may be. It might be dumb, but um, in my experience, everything that is came about because somebody thought it was a good idea. And trying to seek to understand that. And then because that's how you can, in the most healthy way, move things forward. Is if you understand why things were, then you probably avoid a lot of problems too, as well. And so, did I answer the question, or was that just word salad? I don't, I don't know.
I mean, I heard like curiosity, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the bigger things for this mentorship is, like I mentioned, there are times where we just kind of like, I know I want to do something with this. What does this look like? But we didn't necessarily plan out what is that process at the very bottom foundation will start with. And so being able to be curious, what is our experience with this currently? What are we hoping to do with this project? And just kind of being able to take off from there. Are there any other qualities that speak to you of you? I mean, you've had a few mentors now or fellows now. Any of them that you'd like to see again?
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, doers, people who like, I don't know, busybodies. Honestly, like, I always look for folks who just kind of can't help but like pick something up or move it. And it's not always toxic to be a workaholic. And I think that I think one thing that you and Emily very much have in common is like I never had to like talk you into something. Like at most, I pointed you in the right direction and just gave you figuratively pat on the butt and just kind of like let me know how I can help you do that. And I think, man, that goes so far because you can't make somebody want to do something. And so um, I never had to do that with you guys. And if you're that type of person who's like driven and wants to do it, even if you don't really necessarily understand where the payoff is, but you have faith that there will be, I think that is something you two have in common that I freaking admire. And it inspires that in me a little bit and a lot of it. And so I think that is huge. Like, don't do this if you're not going to be serious about trying to make it into something.
Okay, one more for you, Dr. Golgo. In your experience, what makes this fellowship opportunity project unique compared to other mentorship experiences?
Emily and I were talking about this, and I think it kind of came out of our conversation where we were talking about how, you know, these different mentor models and ideas, um, it's part of my growth and my leadership journey has kind of been realizing that like you need a mentor that is not in your chain of command. Um, you absolutely need that. And I think there's something to be said for having a mentor that really has no stake in your success other than your success. And uh, I feel like really quickly I got to a place where like I'm investing in Emily. Um, like I I need to see it as a win when she succeeds. Even if it's just one wonderful young person getting a little bit of encouragement, even if it's just knocking down one barrier, like I have to see it that way. And once you do, it's easy. Like it is so easy to find the extra energy, like I'm not gonna lie. Every time Emily sent me, actually that's not true. Every time Emily sent me something, I was usually pretty pumped to read it. But there were times when I would like I'd be reading at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's when I had the time. And I was always, always, always rewarded by just seeing what she was thinking. And, if I could make it 1% better, then, hell yeah. And so I think I think I'm answering your question, but I think you just kind of have to invest. And I think that is just kind of one thing that I see this and I encourage other people to see it in this way, and that you don't have a board of directors, you got a board of investors. And also I think that it changes the paradigm a little bit because I think there's, like one thing that you and Emily, I've talked to you about working on is like you're not a burden. And even if you are a burden, you're I don't know, you're supposed to be. Like that's what a relationship is, right? Nobody want if you don't want to be a burden, like then nobody ever gets to pour into you. And and how can you turn around and ask them, or let you how can you show up for them if they never have a need to be met? And so, but I think when you're investing, it comes to that idea of like, I'm getting something back out of this. Like, this is mutually beneficial, and it's less of the you and me and more of the we. And so, uh, I'll say that too. I think that's a big thing that I've learned out of this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I love that you went with all of the like, this is all the phenomenal things we get out of it. But to be a little superficial, you also get the opportunity to, one, attend our annual fall conference. So we pay for your pre-conference institute, whether that's the graduate student or new professional one, it's your choice, as well as the conference registration itself. And so we are investing in you as a professional, but also back in our association when you attend those opportunities. You get the opportunity to also present at the conference. And so put that on your resume line for sure. But to get to highlight and show off the work that you've done, right? That's the most exciting part is you have a room hopefully full of our board of attendees, people interested in this fellowship who you get to brag about yourself to. And it's just a really exciting time we've had the opportunity to expand that out to make sure we're being more transparent and it's accessible to our conference, to our foundation to hear and learn what phenomenal work our fellows are doing. And so it's a great opportunity to do that as well. And then hopefully moving forward into this year, we're also trying to get you the opportunity to write for a publication piece in our student affairs on campus journal.
Yeah.
So we really want to be intentional with actually documenting the fantastic work that you all do so that it's live and it lives in our Tecuspa Association. So you get all these different experiences out of it, not just a new lifelong mentor and friend that you get to, bug whenever you need, but also just these really strong professional things that make you, at the pool of applicants, you're going to be cutting edge. You're going to be somebody who has this experience, who works with an association, who's presented, who potentially published work. And so it's really exciting to have that be part of our fellowship outcomes for sure. Okay, so at this point, we're going to have a Q&A. We have about 10 minutes left in our webinar. And so if there's any questions you have for Emily, for Dr. Bolimo, for me, we're open to taking anything about the fellowship process, about our current projects, really any questions you may have that can help motivate you to apply for our fellowship. And like I said, feel free to unmute yourself, drop it in the chat, whatever works best for you.
Hi. Oh, sorry. I just like swallowed like the wrong thing and it went down wrong. So sorry. But I am Serena Reyes. I currently work at Texas A&M University within the DMS, and this is my second, going on 2 years officially in August. But then higher ed, just to give a little backstory, I got my master's in beginning university in higher ed and student affairs at their program up there. So I graduated 2024, and this is my first real big girl job post masters. So very much becoming an adult. But one, I did want to say thank y'all for hosting this informational. First time also being in Texas, so also learning more about what Tecuspa is in general, because obviously if you're not in Texas, you don't know. So thank y'all for obviously just hosting this. My one question also served kind of just As I guess, what else are y'all looking for, like in terms of people and like the transferable skills that they can bring and hope to gain within the fellowship? And I know I make you also one of the fellowship like supervisors and different things like or the mentors. Sorry. So like I guess kind of like hearing also more about your perspective too into looking forward into it because I've seen one that I'm also interested that falls under really you and Dr. Golemo too. So um competition I like. But it's one of those things where, yeah, just wanting to hear more about that. And I guess essentially the follow up question is, why did y'all choose to be more really deeply involved into Takuspa a little bit more? Like I said, I'm coming from the East Coast, still used to being in Texas, so still also just trying to get to know more people's whys too.
I love that. First and foremost, your story speaks to one of our previous fellows from 2022, I believe, Brooke Arrington, who's now our Vice President of Membership and Marketing. She came from out of state. I think it was her first or second year at the Texas A&M Higher Ed program. And I know when she speaks about her fellowship, process, her project, she really also spoke to the ability of finding home, a community of like-minded, people, individuals doing the work we do in a space where she, is new. It's her new home. And so for me to touch on the why part first before I move into like what am I looking for, Takuspa, I love regional conferences because like they're actually your homies. I look forward to going to the Kuspuchi and be like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a year, or I've only seen you virtually. I get to finally hang out with you and we collaborate and we just kiki, like we just have a good time and have fun at the conference. It's something I look forward to versus sometimes at those national conferences, I feel maybe a little overwhelmed. There's so much stuff going on, movement, sometimes like, oh my gosh, I missed this opportunity because I want to go to this one. And here at the regional, like we really are not competing with each other. I think that's the most biggest thing is that we want to make sure that everybody has whoever's presenting whatever experiences we have are individual. And we also feed y'all. So what's up is actual good food versus sometimes at conference, like if you late, it's gone, right? And so I think that's the most coolest thing for me in Takuspa is that I get to connect to the different schools in Texas. Texas is such a big state that we have so much just like beauty in the different approaches that we take into what student success looks like for us here. And really thinking about the difference between this regional association versus a national conferences. We do have specific legislation, we do have specific limitations, things like that, that other people won't necessarily know about, hear about, or how to navigate. And so our approaches, what we choose for educational sessions is to make sure that everybody has, we're on this even playing field. Everybody knows what we're navigating in Texas. You don't have to explain these new laws or stuff like that. We all have that, right? We know we're navigating. And so that's another beautiful thing. And networking, I love networking. Hashtag we met at Takuspa. Me and my partner actually met at Takuspa. So I got a beautiful home and life out of it because of the association. And so it's very impactful, meaningful to me too. I'll tell that story all the time. So if this is your first time hearing it, promise you'll hear it again. But I very much appreciate the association for bringing somebody very important into my life, not just my partner, Julian, but also these new mentors such as Dr. Golemo, Shelby Hearn, who's our current president, Brooke Arrington. Like there's just so many phenomenal leaders currently in this space and field that I would not have connected to if not for this opportunity. So that's my why. But when I'm looking for qualities, in fellows, I think something I really like to emphasize is being able to work in ambiguity. Again, it's like we're giving you all tasks and opportunities, but we're not necessarily giving you this is the path I want you to take. I want you to come and give me 3 different options that you are like, man, I don't know which one to choose from. And we workshop through those together, right? As a group and say, I love this piece. Can we kind of bring that together with this one and mash them and make something new out of this experience? And so being able to almost not just work in ambiguity, but take initiative to like grow and learn and bring something new to the table. I don't know. That's always such an experience. As for me, when I transitioned from undergrad to grad to professional, sometimes I was so used to having, here is what exactly a syllabus of what I'm supposed to do for this project. Here's an example where I just kind of copy and paste. But a skill that I really wanted to develop was being able to work with an ambiguity of, this is kind of our overarching goals, learning outcomes. How do we get from this point to this point? And so I'm really looking for somebody who kind of has that experience doing that.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. I don't think there's any one skill that will. I don't know if there's any one skill beyond just like kindness and how you treat people, and you know your relationship with the truth and facts. I think then that, and because I think especially when you're leaving your graduate school or graduate program in your assistantship, you know, all that's so modular. And everybody, you know, it's 20 hours a week, but you know, like it's modular because there's a new group every 2 years. And so they're really, really good at kind of very clearly defining what it is you're supposed to be doing and how. And then the second you step into the professional realm, it is amazing how shocked people can be. We're like, where's my handbook? Well, actually, you're gonna write it. You know, like it's not it's not like that. And so I would even say, you know, not just working within ambiguity, but seeing ambiguity as opportunity. Um, it took me forever to realize that like my boss just knows a little bit more than I do, you know, and uh, if he or she doesn't give me exactly what it is, it's not because they don't care about my development. It's because that's an opportunity. Um, you know, I can take this and make it, you know, I could use that ambiguity as like license to kind of go run with it. And I think if you can see things that way, then um, it's less stressful and more like energizing. And sometimes it's just you're lying to yourself a little bit, but it's a great lie because it will help you get through things. And I just tell you, I get decision fatigue a lot, and it is exhausting sometimes. Um, having feeling like I've got to answer all these questions before they're asked, and uh, I feel so great and value in others those who like they have the trust that we have enough of a shared vision, and like I can trust them to come with me to me when they have questions or run into snags. But I love it when I can just give something to somebody and I can give them the outline of what the outcome needs to look like or the shape of it, and then you know bring me options and tell me what I should be doing with this. And you know I got that in spades with both Jaime and Emily. And some tells me they're like that in the real world as well, and that's gonna take them so far.
Thank you for that.
I wanted to make a quick comment because of time, but you made a comment about like you don't know who to pick because like Dr. Galima's really great, but Jaime's really great too. One thing I really like about Takuspa is that like again like if you're putting yourself out there and you're meeting people, like people notice that and people will make efforts to like make relationships and friendships with you. So when you apply for the fellowship and when you become a fellow, because we're gonna manifest this for you, I don't worry about like not getting opportunities with other people because again, like Texas, like we're big, but it's a really small world, and like I think you'll meet a lot of other authentic like people and just relationships and opportunities for you there. So you do have to pick one, but don't worry, like you'll I feel like even though I had Dr. Galimo, I feel like my relationship with Jaime like indirectly got stronger too because we knew each other from when I did the case study competition and stuff, but just being an alum from the same program and having a lot of intersecting like things like even just for like a minute or two like like it really just helped my comfortability for like texting Jaime and just like being open to like catch up and stuff with that. So
Brianna has a question. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know if there was enough time, but I thank you all for this information. And Serena asked one of the questions I was going to ask, but my follow-up question to that is first, hello, Sahi. But so this will be my second attempt trying to do the fellow, and I'm sure y'all get great candidates. So all love there. But is there somewhere you would point me, let's say for if I don't make it again, that I can still contribute to the association in similar ways, even though it may not be with the mentor specifically? Because I think the work and being able to contribute is still very beneficial to professional development.
Yeah, that's a great attitude, honestly. One thing I would say about I like about Takuspa is it's accessible. Um, getting involved is really as difficult as raising your hand and showing up when somebody reaches out. And you kind of need to be a little bit tenacious. But when I joined, for I think I applied for something with membership, and I ended up getting technology. Everything I learned about technology, I learned after getting that job. And so, but I showed up, and I didn't really take I don't know for an answer. You can figure it out. Everything's figure outable. And so there are so many things that are needed, but there are also so many things that we don't get to do just because there's so many hours in a day, and we don't have all the volunteers we need. So even if you just need to kind of elbow in a little bit, do it. Because you will get out of it what you put into it. And so if you have any trouble, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and you can just bother me, and I'll be better for it, I'm sure.
And I do want to say, I think first and foremost, we're super excited to have you apply again. And I'm always open to providing feedback from the committee. So if that's something, you apply and you weren't necessarily chosen that time, but you want to apply again, feel free to reach out. And we're always happy to help out and tell you this is what we really liked. Hopefully, here are some things that we can see you grow in so that you're ready to really take on this opportunity again. And honestly, it's just that everybody's so phenomenal. It's so hard to choose from. And I think for kind of even to like Serena's point of like what qualities, I think, and not necessarily looking for qualities, but maybe how you market and sell yourself. So for us, we transitioned from, when I first applied, it was like essay. I just wanted, you're writing about yourself, things like that, where we kind of wanted to be more approachable and more fit to your own strengths. And so we changed that to a creative project where you can submit a presentation, or you can submit a video recording, a podcast style thing, a written essay if that's your preference, or an infographic, whatever that case may look like. This year in the application, we decided to be more transparent and show you the rubric that we're using to grade now. So hopefully you can see like, okay, I want to try to hit this. This is what this could look like, what I'm supposed to be aiming for. And two, we also provided two examples, both Emily and myself, to help kind of show y'all this is some of the content that helped kind of get what fellows we're looking for in those videos. And really, in those videos, I just want to get to know you, who you are, or in those creative projects, excuse me, who you are and why this fellowship is going to help you grow to where you want to go next, right? And so I know it's such a tight limit to really put yourself all in 5 minutes, but it's really helpful for us to get to know you, engage you. And to Emily's point of like, we also match fellowship projects based off personalities and what you're presenting. So we rank them, but at the end of the day, if I'm like, okay, Neil, I'm going to throw hands with you for Serena, then we fight over the person based off what they submit. And so I'm also always happy to provide feedback, or if you have questions and things like that. I'm not going to be, my goal is not to serve on the committee this time, and so I don't necessarily I'm less limited than I was last year, if that makes sense. So feel free to utilize us in that way so that we can help you guide you in the correct way. But to your point, if not a fellowship, then what else? Well, there's a bunch of different opportunities. We do have different committees that do all of the wonderful TACUSPA work. Our webinars committee, for example, puts on, identifies topics, connects with people, does the marketing for these things, updates our website. We have a group of people who work towards that. Our conference planning team has, I mean, there are all sorts of skills you want to try to pick up and learn from there. We also have our marketing membership, if that's something that you're interested in. We have our scholarships and fellowships committee, which helps selects our recipients. There's just all sorts of different opportunities for you to get involved with TACUSPA, and sometimes it's scary, but even I would say, like, if you want to start off, like, start off by volunteering at the conference. It's such a difference to. That's how I feel like I really connected with all of our leadership team, is being able to say, like, okay, what does the conference look like? I know I'm here for this time, but maybe I can dedicate an hour at this time. So, and getting to learn what that looks like, the background, and just kind of stepping up periodically through that way. We have a bunch of different opportunities that hopefully will be opening up. I mean, a lot of our director roles will be opening up soon. And so even considering applying for those, I mean, some of our VPs are coming up. So if that's something you're interested in, like Emily said, better oops than a what if. And so I'm going to take that with me, by the way. So shoot your shot, and we're always happy to work with what you got and just kind of navigate this a little differently.
Thank you both.
Of course. So just real quick, I know we're about at our time. Like I mentioned, our application is open. The application is on our website. If you haven't accessed that yet, the application goes over our learning outcomes, what benefits you'll have, the time of the conference. It is expected that you attend because you'll be presenting and things like that. It also will cover, what are some of the expectations. We are trying to move a little more semi-structured this year, so we're going to have a few different experiences than we have in the past. We're going to rock and roll and see what it looks like, and this was really based off of our feedback we've gotten this last year. So if things work, they work, and if we need to change and modify mid, then we can do that too. Again, it's really based off your experience, our mentors' experiences. We're really looking forward to be more intentional with this fellowship practice to ensure that our fellows are getting what they want out, and not just with projects, but basic development across all different type of fundamental student affairs, practitioner skills. So I'm really excited, looking forward to that. Our applications do close Sunday, so try to get them in as you can. And if you do have questions, I'm also going to drop my email in the chat, so you can reach out to me. My email should also be connected to the on the application as well. So I'm always happy to chat. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can to make sure that you get the information you need. But I do want to thank our two guest speakers for the phenomenal work and sharing your lived experiences. TACUSPA would not be the same without you both, and the work that you contributed this past year. And I'm really thankful that you continue to engage with our association and kind of think about what this the fellowship has done to make sure that you feel at home with TACUSPA. So round of applause. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much, Jaime, Emily, and Dr. Galimo, for sharing with us today. I hope that each of you who joined us found this beneficial and you're looking forward to applying for the fellowship. Our next webinar Wednesday will premiere on next Wednesday, March the 4th at noon on our YouTube channel. In this webinar, we interview Dr. L.T. Robinson, Senior Vice Provost for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Please invite a colleague to view the webinar. Finally, the TACUSPA membership year runs from January to December. If you're not yet a member of TACUSPA or your membership has lapsed, we encourage you to join us. Thank you and have a great day.